Kia ora e te iwi and welcome to UFC on Sky. Ko Ravinder Hunia tōku ingoa. This weekend, UFC Fight Night returns to Las Vegas, which features the long-awaited return of Australian light heavyweight Tyson Pedro. And he joins us now in studio. Tyson, kia ora and hello. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for your time. I know it's always a busy time during a fight week. But look, Tyson, it's been, just over 3 years. You haven't been fighting in the UFC. What have you been up to?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Obviously, I got injured, but I got a lot of stuff happened. I had my daughter, first and foremost. That's one of the best things that could have happened. I opened up a couple of businesses, obviously Drink West with Ty Tuivasa. I opened 2 restaurants, one of them just because we didn't know how much beer to make and we made way too much. So we opened up a restaurant to sell more beer.
You're Australian and you're saying you've made too much beer. I don't think I've heard those two phrases in the same sentence.
We drank a lot into the profits for sure.
Fair enough. How has that been? How has that venture been? Because you said that you had your injury, so you weren't fighting in the UFC. Was this a way of sorts to keep you occupied and basically keep money rolling over?
Yeah, I guess so. And I felt like I needed something to take risks with, I guess. I'd never opened any businesses like that, so it was a cool thing to do. It's going very well. Obviously, since we did that ad with Shannon Noel, I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, we saw it.
That's really helped things out.
It's awesome. Tell us a little bit about this business and how it came to fruition, and how you mentioned Ty Tuivasa's a partner with you. So how did it all come about?
Yeah, well, so they were, Ty was going to do the beer with one of our other business partners, and he goes, man, I don't know anything about beer. Tyson drinks a lot of beer. We should get Tyson involved. So thank you for that. And pretty much we went and had a night on the beers and tasted all this different range, and we picked 2 beers that we wanted, and we were like, all right, let's make Drink West. And we wanted I don't know if you know, but in Australia we had like a no frills brand that was black and yellow, and we just wanted a beer for the West. So it's a cool thing that people can get behind, and doing that ad with Shannon Noel that like really encapsulated what the brand is about. It was just a really cool day.
It did feel like that. It felt like a real community feel, and that when you get this drink, you're buying like an experience as well of where you're from and everything that encompasses that drink. So well done, congratulations on that business venture. Back to your UFC career though, that is sprung back, I feel like kind of out of nowhere in a lot of ways. What was the injury like, and what has your rehab been like, and how are you now?
Yeah, it was a solid roller coaster of emotions. It started with the first tear, and they used my hamstring, and then I came over to New Zealand actually training at CKB, and Carlos Ulberg, thank you for that, retore my knee, and I had to start again. So it was all for the best, because I think I wouldn't want that to happen in the fight anyway. So I had to make a decision whether I'd start the surgery from scratch again, and I did. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, and the rehab was pretty hard. Obviously, both times. The first one was 9 months, the second one was 12 months, and then I've done 3 fight camps in between that. So luckily, COVID I think slowed the UFC down as well. So that helped me out a lot, but. Yeah, it's definitely been a long road. It was hard, but that's what it's about, and I'm just glad that I never folded. There was definitely a lot of outside pressure, like even family, that telling me, when are you going to hang up the gloves? But I always knew I was going to be back here, and I think I've visualized this moment so much that it felt like I never left.
3 years, well, more than 3 years, is a long time though. And then when you have these business ventures and they're starting to do well, it would be easy to say, oh yeah, you know what, I'm doing this now. So what was it for you? You've spoken about physically what you're doing to come back, but mentally, what was that like?
Yeah, well, like I said, I just always knew I was coming back. I'm a fighter, so first and foremost, I was always going to come back to fight. Yeah, that was pretty much it. There was never another second thought that I was going to hang him up, because I just always knew I was coming back here. Luckily, the UFC kept me on. I know that they've cut people during that time when I was off, so I was just sitting in the back going, are we good? So I'm still, I'm just thankful I'm still here and can't wait to put on the show.
Most definitely. And it feels like you've left no stone unturned in your preparation for this comeback fight as well. You'll be on, obviously, UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas, fighting Villanueva. When I talk about no stone being left unturned, you spoke about working with CKB, coming to New Zealand. You've been at Freestyle. You've done some stuff with Tai Tuivasa, on the other side of the planet as well. So talk about preparations.
Yeah, it's actually been a really long camp, and I was pretty heavy. I got up to 110 kilos, which is the heaviest I've ever been. I started camp in Dubai with Ty, and his fight got pushed forward. My fight got pushed back, so Dubai was costing me way too much money. I had to leave there, and I got to go to Volkanovski's camp at Freestyle MMA, and luckily for me, Eugene and Carlos got stuck, and some of the other boys from CKB got stuck in Australia. So they were able to break down the fight for me, help out, got in really good rounds with Carlos. And then I finished off my camp at Combat Training Center in Gold Coast. And I've just been working with Glenn Sparv on the wrestling, and I've gotten so much better all around fight IQ, physically. So that's been a very good camp, but a very hard one. And it's good to have this week off, to be honest.
Yeah, I bet. Not only to let your body rest, but to let the mind rest too. You talk about breaking down the fight and that how Eugene helped you do that. Explain what that means.
So that's probably one of the areas where I'm not that strong at, is going over fight tape and seeing the weaknesses in your opponent, and that's what Eugene's so good at. He actually broke down my fight against Shogun, and when he was going over and saying why I was doing stuff, and I was like, I didn't even know why I was doing stuff. I just wanted to punch him in the face. So hearing it from Eugene of why something's happening is it's really cool, and it's increased my fight IQ for sure.
When you think back, 2016 is when you made your UFC debut. Now 2022, you're making, hitting the restart button again of sorts. Does it kind of feel similar, but not?
Yeah, it does feel like a debut because everything's changed here. From the Performance Institute to how the UFC does it, and also I guess the new company buying UFC, so it feels all different people. The light heavyweight division's fully changed, so all the fighters. It's like making my debut again, but that's exciting for me.
While you're over there in Las Vegas, what are you wanting to show? What Tyson Pedro can, fans expect to see in this fight?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just aiming for a perfect performance from myself. Everything that I've planned out, everything that I've visualized in my head for these years, I know that I'm better in all areas. So I don't want to say I expect anyone can expect anything from me, because I never make calls until you get punched in the face. You don't know how you're going to act. So we'll see how that goes.
Now, we've spoken about all these people that have helped you get to this point, to make it to your comeback. Who's going to be in your corner?
My dad, Eugene's flying over, and I've got Glenn Sparv. So solid corner. I always have my old man in my corner. It's, you got to have that ride or die in there.
How did Eugene manage to get into there? He's everywhere. He's everywhere right now.
Yeah, he honestly is. I think he's coming maybe from Thailand, but I've done 2 camps at CKB now, and obviously the first fight fell through, and then the second one, COVID hit. So I'll be straight after this fight, I'll be moving over to New Zealand to train out at CKB.
Oh wow, really? Okay, well let's get a little bit into that then. Okay, well. Well, that's pretty exciting.
Just don't tell my wife.
She might see this. Well, tell us a little bit more about that. How did you come to that decision?
I did my first camp there, and I already saw that everything about the feeling of the fight camp, and also just the way they broke down striking was second to none. And I've trained at a lot of different gyms all over the world, and how they did it with striking and their just their outlook on fighting, I really enjoyed. And also I got to work with Selby for my when I was training in Thailand, and he was the first one that introduced me to some of the fight principles from CKB. So I already sort of had a feeling that I wanted to go there. And then after doing this second camp before COVID, I knew that I was going to make the change. I told them that I wanted to move there.
Oh, that's really exciting, Tyson. I know you have a lot of fans here in New Zealand as well, so you won't need to work on that very much. But hopefully, if once you get over here, you'll be able to sit in here in studio with me next time we speak.
Sounds good.
Look, Tyson, thank you so much for your time today, and all the very best for your fight back in the UFC.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
So, whānau, you can catch Tyson Pedro in action at UFC Fight Night this weekend. The card starts from 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. Lemos versus Andrade. No need to book this weekend, so that's good news. The card will be on Sky Sports 61. That is ESPN 2. Now, to another Australian fighter, the featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski. He is fresh off of his spectacular title win at UFC 273 over the Korean Zombie, and I had the pleasure to catch up with him. First of all, Alexander Volkanovski, thank you so much for joining us on UFC on Sky this morning. It must be such a whirlwind at the moment for you after coming away from such a great defeat at the weekend.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good to, drink a few beers, after winning and things like that. And, it's just soak everything up. Obviously, all the hard work paying off. And, right now just doing a bit of a tour, in the States. I'll do New York and LA and show off the belt a little bit, show off the big win a little bit and do what I haven't really been able to do, through lockdowns and, COVID and all that type of stuff. So take advantage of it while we can.
I know that in America, there's high praise over this win. Your performance was absolutely outstanding. But do you think about what you're going to be doing when you get home and how you're going to be sharing this success with other Australians?
I usually go back home and usually catch up with some mates and obviously celebrate. I think we might do something back at the Volkanovski maybe as well. We'll do an event. And again, it's something that we can do. I haven't been able to do. So, do a little celebration with the supporters and the like in the Illawarra and things like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that because it's something that we haven't been able to do. Show my appreciation for their support, you know what I mean, and just give back. So make something happen. We'll do something when we get back. But I mean, at the same time, other than that, back to business, man. Get back in the gym and keep working and keep getting better. That's what I mean. That's my goal. Raise the bar every single time. I ain't happy with just being where I'm at, so I ain't chilling until the next camp. I'm getting better, then I get into the camp. That's how I work.
And you 100% did prove that in that fight against Korean Zombie at UFC 273. You looked so much more stronger, faster, fitter, just better. Are you really proud at the way that your performance came together and how that impacted Korean Zombie and any sort of strategy he may have had for you?
Man, it is good because obviously I was saying it all week. I was telling everyone, I'm sure I would have said to you, it's the best I've ever been. And I want to go out there and show that. I want to show them levels ahead. I want to show that I've raised the bar, you know what I mean? Because that's what the greatest athletes in the world are, you know what I mean? They expect better from themselves every single time. And I've been saying that all week. I'm sort of like one of a kind. There's a 1%ers or these, the top of the echelon when it comes to athletes. The guys that, they don't get complacent. You know what I mean? They're going to get complacent even if they're better than everyone else. They want to be better every single time they step on that court, that octagon, that, you know what I mean, that field, whatever it is. And that's sort of what I got to show, which was cool. And hopefully that inspires some athletes to be better and to have that drive to just be better. They'd be good enough. Be better.
I think one thing that stood out to me was, yes, your skills have gotten better, but I thought your patience had really grown as well. Like, you're quite an instinctual fighter, I feel, and if you see the holes, you'll definitely go in for the kill. But this time you showed a bit more patience. You've mentioned that your corner was telling you to wait a bit, when I thought that, in the first round, I thought, here we go. He's going to finish him right now, but you didn't. So explain to us that process.
Yeah, it was because I seen openings and I felt like I could capitalize and do that little bit more and flirt with that range that little bit more. But the team was still like, yeah, let's not get complacent, because he was still trying to catch me coming in. And I was making him miss purely because I was being that little bit more patient. Where I think the team were like, all right, if we try and capitalize too early, yeah, you probably will get the finish. but the chances of you getting finished is going to be higher as well. So let's wait till we can really take that away from him, then go for it. And that's exactly what we did. So the team were talking to me and, you know, they're like, all right, now we can go. So that's what I did and got the finish. So again, it shows you not many athletes can do that, you know, dictate exactly where the fight's going to go and when. But you know what I mean? But, you know, to have the team around me to, you know, keep an eye and keep me, you know, keep checking me and, you know, make sure I'm doing it. And for me to be able to adapt and listen, it just shows you where we're at, you know, compared to most teams and most athletes. I don't think in this sport, you see that very often. You know, it's a very hard sport to do things like that. When you talk strategy and that, you know, it's fighting. You're in there, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot happening. And you've got to be quick and you've got to, you know what I mean? Like, you one false move, you know what I mean? So it's very hard to have a full strategy and all that because, you know, while you're thinking of something, you could just get tagged. So you don't get to see it as much. You know what I mean? A lot of people just fight the fight and just fight what's in front of them. But we are showing a lot more, and you're seeing us capitalize, and that's why you're seeing a lot of success.
His camp did talk a lot about, or Henry Cejudo in particular, about pretty much sussing you out as a fighter. They knew what to expect. But what do you think it was that overwhelmed Korean Zombie the most? What didn't they prepare for?
If they really know what to expect out of me and think that they don't know, then pretty much purely because they should know that, you know, it's very hard to predict what I'm doing because I'm going to fight what's in front of me. You know, I'm going to have my style, but my style really works and changes to what's happening in front of me, to what your reactions are doing, where you are, you know what I mean? So it needs to be more than just thinking that, oh yeah, he's going to do this and do that. And I'm going to, you know, because as soon as you start changing one thing or trying to capitalize on one thing, I take that completely away from you by throwing something else in there, chucking a whole spanner in the work. So when they say stuff like that, I sort of chuckle and laugh because I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about because that's not how we roll. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that, you know, I pride myself, you know, I don't do too many things the same. You know, I might have I've got a style. I won't give too much away, but I mean, we have a style that has many options. My style in general covers a lot of ground. I said this leading up, covers a lot of ground. So what you give me is what you're going to get at the same time. And, you know, I'm just showing that time and time again.
Most definitely. Look, Korean Zombie is a very well-respected fighter. You've been saying it all week as well, that he's done great things within this division, but it wasn't a good night at the office for him. You recognized that before going into that final round. You've mentioned how you even asked him if he was all right. You know, after the fight and thinking back about those moments and seeing him defeated, as, you know, upsetting as it may have been, what did that teach you? Because was that unfamiliar territory for you in a fight?
I've got a job to do, so I'm going to go and do it anyway. But I mean, it doesn't mean you don't sort of feel bad. Like I could see, again, the perfect word is defeated. I felt like he was defeated. He definitely tried in the third round and that as well. I still felt like he was trying to find the answer, but I felt like he was defeated and then didn't think he was really going to have an answer. And, like, you know, he just couldn't physically do it and mentally do it. And I could see that. And I felt like maybe he was subtly asking for, you know, for them to stop the fight, you know what I mean? Which is, you know, very hard for these guys. But I mean, this is what I'm doing to these guys. And my last two fights, I'm getting these guys asking for people to stop the fight, to give up, you know what I mean? So and no one wants to do that. It just shows you what I'm doing to these guys. But to see that was pretty hard. That's why I asked him, I go, man, like, I don't know. I just shouldn't have done that because in a sense, I know he's going to say I'm all good. So, like, but I mean, at the same time, like, it's sort of thought of at the time. It's like, you don't want to be here. That's why I asked him. But it was something I actually thought of. Like, it was me being genuine and caring. But at the same time, you know, what did I expect him to say? You know what I mean? But I mean, he's obviously probably didn't understand. And even if he did, he would have just gave me the same reaction as in, yeah, I'm good, I'm sweet, let's go. But I mean, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do what I got to do. But at the same time, you got to feel bad. My hands were hurting as well. So I wanted him to hurry up and go down because my hands were,
You think
were
you're
hurting.
hurting?
Yeah.
In your corner, we saw Eugene Bareman there, as well as your head coach, Joe Lopez. You know, how do you feel that cornering went, and how do you, you know, kind of thrive and feed off of that, not only the energy, but the directions that you're getting from two top-notch coaches?
I mean, it was just good to have the whole team back together. That's something that we've struggled with as well. So I had Brad Riddell. He wasn't in the corner, but he was with us fight week in the training party, you know what I mean? So to pick their brains the whole time, and obviously having, guys like Joe Lopez and Eugene, and then obviously even like Craig Jones and Frank, and they pick their brains all week. And then in there, keep me composed, keep me on task and all that type of stuff. Because again, sometimes you could be like, you know, again, I thought I could have done more, but they seen something different. I'm going to trust them and go. And like, even though would I have got caught? Maybe not. But, you know, was I going to take a lot more risks than I needed to? Maybe. So they're going to make sure that I'm going to minimize that risk and capitalize at the right time. Obviously, we would have tried to put them out early, but going a little bit more aggressive and finding that chin that little bit more could have ended badly for me as well. And that's how they look at it. And I've got to give them that respect. And I appreciate them doing their work.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, straight after the fight, post-fight press conference, you start talking about, you know, possibly moving up to the lightweight division. Eyes immediately get drawn to that Gaethje Oliveira title fight coming up at 275. How closely will you be watching that fight?
I'll be watching that closely, definitely. Man, I think I'm in a position where I can call for that. That's why I'm calling for it. I haven't asked for double champ status. I've always talked about it as in the near future. I never acted like I was in a position to ask for it till now. So it shows you that, you know, work needs to be done before you can even ask for these things. And I think I'm in a position with 4 title fights, 3 defenses against some of the best fighters, the featherweight division's ever seen. I think it's fair for me to start saying, hey, let's do this double champ status. I'm in a good position now. I'm not holding up the division. I'm waiting on them guys. You know, I've done my part. The division needs to sort themselves out so they can do theirs. While that's happening, give me that double champ status.
When you look at Gaethje and Oliveira as, individuals, 2 very different looking fighters. Oliveira obviously strong on the ground, and his striking has improved over this reign as champion, and Gaethje, one of the most durable fighters the UFC has seen. What is it about maybe these 2 fighters individually that excite you?
Both exciting fighters. Both would be big fights as well. Going up a division, going for that double champ is going to be a big fight no matter what. But Oliveira is definitely getting a backing from a lot of people now. He's doing some great things. That's a big fight. So both fight interests me. I think stylistically, they're both pretty much the same. Obviously different fighters, but I mean they both have their dangers. So it doesn't really matter who it is. Just whoever wins is going to be the bigger fight. So whoever wins, we'll do it. Who am I leaning towards more to win that fight? And I think it's pretty even. But if I had to choose someone who I thought probably has more chance of winning, it would probably be Oliveira.
Good call. I would go with Oliveira as well. I feel like he is underrated a lot of the time, goes into his title fights as the underdog. So I think that's fair. I think he's done enough to prove that he is the champ, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's again, styles make fights as well, right? So you look at what the body of work that Charles has done lately, you would think that that's a no-brainer to sort of choose him. But I mean, stylistically, I think Gaethje does give him sort of problems as well with the team that Gaethje has behind him as well. But at the same time, back to edge, give someone an edge, it'd probably be Oliveira.
Yeah, I agree. I like that call. I really like that call, actually. Yeah. Look, you obviously want to have a chance at some point to defend your title in Australia. You have already mentioned it.
We want that next.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about, when the UFC does go to Australia, it goes to Melbourne or it travels up to Brisbane, not really so much in New South Wales. Will there ever be a chance, or what are the laws like, or something like, is that why it doesn't get, that the promotion doesn't go to Sydney?
Well, I think I know there's talks of it coming to Australia. So that's something that I want, hopefully in the near future, hopefully next August or something. It's looking like a good date. I think I don't think there's that many hurdles to get that done. So we'll talk to UFC and really try and get that over the line and make it happen. I know there was whispers. I'm sure there's hurdles, but I mean, I think we can make that happen. I would love, I think we deserve to have another fight on this side of the world, another event, and you know, I think I deserve to defend my belt or fight in front of a home crowd again. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to that.
When you look back at all the, you know, the restrictions and the obstacles and the testing and all of these things that the rest of the Australian contingent and New Zealand have had to do over these last few years, do you think that it's not too much to ask that we finally, you know, work a little bit harder to get a card back down here?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely. You know what I mean? Again, there's other events. You know, we're getting sold out arenas in other events and other sports and that. So I think, yeah, I think it could be done. You know, I think, like I know, you know, there was some events that, you know, Dana and that wasn't too sure about, and then they end up doing it, and then they'll absolutely stoked they did that. And I think that'll be the same here. You know, if he's like, oh, I'm not sure about this, get it over the line, and we'll make you, you know, you won't regret it.
100%. Alexander Volkanovski, thank you so much for joining us. Lap it up. You deserve it. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.